A romantic relationship works almost exactly the same way, except you also kiss this roommate and share your emotions with them. That's basically it. That's what a relationship really is. Here's where it gets interesting, though. Many people assume the romantic part makes everything completely different. It really doesn't. The roommate rules still apply. You still have to communicate about chores. You still need to respect each other's personal space. You still have to figure out finances together. The only real difference is that now you're also sharing emotional and physical intimacy with this person. But there's one huge lie that ruins more relationships than anything else. If they truly loved me, they would just know what I need. That idea is completely unrealistic. It's like expecting your roommate to magically know you ran out of milk without you telling them. Love isn't telepathy. Love isn't mind reading. Love isn't automatically knowing what someone wants without them saying it. Love means caring enough to listen when someone tells you what they need. Love means paying attention when they open up about their feelings. Love means remembering the important things they share with you. But they actually have to share those things first. You're not psychic. They're not psychic. Nobody is. And this single expectation probably destroys more relationships than cheating ever does. Now let's talk about why people argue in relationships. Remember when you were 5 years old fighting with your sibling over the last cookie? Same energy, just different issues. You always choose your friends over me. Translation: I want to feel important to you, and right now, I don't. Most relationship fights are basically adults throwing emotional tantrums because they're not getting what they want. The difference is that grown-ups are supposed to use words to explain what they need instead of screaming until someone hands over the cookie. So what does a relationship actually need to survive? Think about a plant. A plant needs water, sunlight, and soil to stay alive. Relationships also rely on three essential things. First, clear communication. This means saying what you actually mean instead of expecting someone to guess. Saying, "I'm fine," when you're clearly not fine, is not communication. It's relationship poison. "I need more affection." That's clear communication. "I feel ignored when you're on your phone during dinner." That's clear communication. "I'm stressed about money and we need to talk about our budget." Also clear communication. Second, realistic expectations. Your partner isn't your therapist, your personal entertainer, your private chef, your maid, or your private psychic advisor. They're just another human being with their own struggles, bad days, and limitations. Expecting them to make you happy all the time is like expecting your roommate to control the weather. Third, and this one is controversial, healthy relationships require two complete individuals, not two incomplete halves trying to become one person. You need your own friends, your own hobbies, your own goals, your own identity. One of the most toxic ideas in modern dating is the phrase, "you complete me." Nobody completes anybody. You're supposed to already be a whole person who's dating another whole person. Two incomplete people don't form a healthy relationship. They create codependency. Now, here's something else people don't like hearing about finding the one. There probably isn't just one perfect person for you. In reality, there are likely thousands of people you could build a great relationship with if both of you were willing to put in the effort. The idea of the one makes people do irrational things. They stay in terrible relationships because they believe that person is their destiny. Or they leave perfectly good relationships because the person doesn't feel perfect enough. Here's the real secret. Great relationships aren't discovered, they're built. Two people choose to build something together and they work on it consistently. It's like building a house, except the structure is made from trust, communication, and shared experiences. Now, let's talk about compatibility because people misunderstand that too. Real compatibility isn't about having everything in common, it's about having compatible problems. Every person has problems. Every relationship comes with challenges. The real question isn't, is this person perfect? The real question is, are these problems something I can realistically deal with? Some people's flaws are minor, like forgetting anniversaries or leaving dishes in the sink. Other people's issues are much deeper, like screaming when they're angry or refusing to admit when they're wrong. Compatible problems are manageable annoyances. Incompatible problems are serious character traits that slowly make you miserable. This next part might sound a little dark, but it matters. Some people stay in unhappy relationships because they believe that's what love is supposed to feel like. They confuse drama for passion, they mistake jealousy for love, they interpret emotional chaos as deep connection. But the truth is that healthy love is actually kind of boring. It's two people who usually get along, solve problems together, and enjoy spending time with each other most of the time. There's no constant cycle of explosive fights followed by dramatic makeup sessions. There's no emotional roller coaster. There's no constantly wondering whether they still love you. Healthy love feels stable, supportive, calm. Another thing nobody really teaches is that relationships require real skills, skills most people never learn. Conflict resolution, learning how to argue fairly and actually solve problems, emotional regulation, managing your own emotions instead of dumping them onto your partner, setting boundaries, saying no and meaning it without guilt, compromise, finding solutions where both people get at least some of what they need. Self-awareness, recognizing your own patterns, triggers, and behaviors. We expect people to automatically be good at relationships, but we would never expect someone to drive a car without taking lessons first. Here's perhaps the most important rule of all. You cannot love someone into becoming the person you want them to be. People only change when they decide they want to change. You can't fix them, you can't heal them, you can't rescue them from themselves. Your responsibility in a relationship is simply deciding whether you genuinely like the person standing in front of you, not the person they might become someday with enough love and patience. If you find yourself thinking, they would be perfect if they just changed this one thing, you're not in love with them. You're in love with their potential. Date people for who they are today, not who they might become in the future. So what do healthy relationships actually look like? They're not constant happiness. They're not flawless harmony. They're not two people who never disagree. Healthy relationships are two people who can talk about problems without yelling or shutting down. Two people who respect each other's boundaries and choices. Two people who support each other's personal goals and friendships. They take responsibility for their own emotions and actions. They show up consistently for each other. And they can be themselves without fear of judgment or punishment. That's really it. It's much simpler than we tend to make it. Now, here's a reality check most people don't want to hear. Not every relationship is meant to last. Sometimes two good people just aren't good together. Sometimes both people care about each other, but their lifestyles, goals, or values don't match. Sometimes the timing is wrong. Sometimes the chemistry simply isn't there. And sometimes you're better off as friends. None of this means anyone failed. It doesn't mean love wasn't real. It just means that specific combination didn't work. One of the healthiest things you can do is recognize when a relationship isn't working and end it respectfully instead of forcing something that's clearly not right. So here are some healthier standards for relationships. Stop searching for someone who completes you. Start looking for someone who complements you. Stop demanding perfection. Start expecting effort, honesty, and respect. Stop trying to change people. Either accept them as they are or walk away. Stop making someone else responsible for your happiness. Instead, become a happy person who shares that happiness with someone else. Here's the bottom line. Relationships are simple in concept, but challenging in practice. They require the same skills as any other important part of life: communication, effort, realistic expectations, and the wisdom to recognize when something isn't working. Most people struggle with relationships not because love is mysterious, but because we've been taught to approach it like a fairy tale instead of real life. The good news is that once you truly understand what relationships are and what they require, they become much easier to navigate. You stop waiting for magic and start building something genuine with someone who wants to build it with you. And honestly, that's far better than any fairy tale. You know why so many relationships fall apart? Because no one ever really explained how they worked. Most of us learned about relationships from Disney movies, romantic comedies, and from watching our parents, who honestly were probably figuring things out as they went, too. So we walk into relationships expecting magic, sparks, and a perfect happily ever after. Then reality shows up like a brick to the face, and suddenly we think we must be doing something wrong. But here's the truth people rarely admit. Relationships aren't difficult because they're mysterious. They're difficult because we've been taught a lot of nonsense about how they actually function. I'm going to break relationships down in a way that might make you think, why did nobody ever explain it this way before? By the end of this video, you'll probably understand relationships better than people who've been married for 20 decades. Let's start with something simple. Think about living with a roommate. You share the same space, you divide responsibilities, you negotiate